Hey, this is Jocelyn with Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood, and I am excited to be here. I think I start all my episodes that way, but I truly am. I really do enjoy sharing what I've learned and things that I wish I would have known that have really helped me in pregnancy and motherhood. So, thank you for joining in, and let's jump into today's episode. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life, and I can help you. Thanks for joining. So today I wanted to talk about emotions. I am currently pregnant with my 5th baby. I've had 6 pregnancies, but one was a miscarriage. But anyways, I'm pregnant with baby number 5, and I'm well into the 2nd trimester now. And oftentimes things come to my mind based on my own experiences. Occasionally I get requests and I'll do that, but a lot of times, and at least for this episode, it's kind of been things I've been experiencing lately. And with pregnancy, it can bring those hormonal changes, which tend to make us more emotional. And if you're emotional to begin with, it's frustrating because then you're even more emotional. And if you're not emotional to begin with, you don't even know what's happening because you haven't been emotional, but all of a sudden you have all these emotions that just kind of well up and make you want to cry. And it can be a little bit hard to deal with, having these extra emotions and urges to almost cry in response to things that happen. And there have been a few incidences where I have just felt the urge to cry in things that have happened. And I'm going to give you a few tips on how to deal with that, especially in moments where you really just don't want to cry. And then, anyway, I'll give you the tips so that you can kind of understand a little bit more of what I'm talking through in a more succinct manner. The first thing is to remember to stay on top of your feel it to heal it. So if you are feeling that negative emotion and you're allowing yourself to feel the negative emotion that comes with these emotions and with pregnancy and with life, it's not just with pregnancy. Life itself can bring a lot of negative emotions. And if you're kind of allowing yourself to feel those negative emotions as they happen, this job is going to be a little bit easier. If you are not feeling that pain or those emotions as they come, it's going to get bottled up, and then it's going to be harder to control those tears when you have a moment that just pushes your limits. So I encourage you to feel it to heal it. So what does that even mean? That means if you're feeling pretty crummy, that means if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling overwhelmed, allow yourself to just feel those emotions for a couple of minutes. And that's what it is. It is just feeling those emotions, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling frustrated, and letting it work through your body and then releasing. It's not enjoyable, but it helps in the long run for you to have a better composition and mindset, and can allow the things I teach on this podcast, which is positivity, to infiltrate your brain and your mind a lot easier if you are doing this. And that is my first tip here as well, is to try and stay on top of that, feel it to heal it. So I know sometimes when we feel emotions, the kind, compassionate one in me just wants to say, just let yourself cry, it's fine. But I realize that there are times where it just doesn't feel appropriate to cry, you're not in a right place to cry, And it can be hard to deal with those emotions and not knowing what to do when you feel like you want to cry, but you're not in a place where you feel like you should cry. And I have found something really simple that actually has helped me pretty significantly. Now, if I'm pretty bottled up and I haven't been doing the feel it to heal it, which sometimes I forget too, actually, a lot of times I am still working on remembering this. But if I get really bottled up, it's almost impossible to stop that sometimes. But if I'm not feeling bottled up, here's the simple tip that helps when I just have a moment that like really stands out and like makes me want to cry. Like for some reason when we were talking to our account the other day, and I felt this urge that I wanted to cry, but it wasn't appropriate. It wasn't the place. I didn't want to. And so the thing to do is to stop thinking those thoughts of don't cry. You can't cry here. That will be embarrassing. I found that as I've told myself, you can't do this, don't do that, it's hard. It just makes those emotions feel even stronger. It's kind of like when someone tells you, don't think about a yellow school bus. What's on your mind? It's the school bus. Because you're not supposed to think about it. Same with when you tell yourself, don't cry. It just is forefront of the mind and is the thing that you think about. So actually give yourself permission to cry. So that's what I've had to do, or I've done, and this is what I did when we were in that meeting, is I just said, it's okay if I cry. And then all of a sudden, like, it helps me to feel like, you know what, now that I have permission, I don't really feel like I need to cry. It's not the situation. It's not the time. So I encourage you to, when you're feeling that, just give yourself permission to cry instead of trying to stuffing it down. And see if it works for you. Sometimes though, as I've given myself permission to cry, I have actually cried. So it's just a learning experience, but in that instance, it did help me. And that's not the only instance that it has helped me. So I feel like if it's helped me, it can help you. And I'd like some feedback on this to see if this little tip, does help for you. Another thing I'm going to give, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3 other tips that I'm going to give. The next tip is to drink water. Like if you're in a situation where you just really don't want to try, for some reason I found that if I drink a lot of water, it can help dry the tears away. Like it just like almost sucks them back into your body. So drink water. This does require you to keep water or a water bottle with you, which is probably good anyways. So carry that water around. The next tip is to tell yourself that you are going to schedule it for later. In these instances where you're feeling these emotions, but it's just not quite the time, giving yourself permission to feel these emotions and these tears later can help you to get through the moment without totally breaking down. Especially when you know what, I'm going to process this, I'm going to feel it, I'm going to cry about it and be angry about it later, can help in these moments where you're feeling emotional and you just don't want to. So schedule it for later. It's kind of similar to giving yourself permission to cry. You're giving yourself permission to feel it later. They're simple things, but they are powerful. And then the other tip, and this one in some situations you may be able to do or you may not be able to do. So when we were visiting in that meeting, I was not able to do this one. So you'll just have to play it kind of by ear, listen to the Spirit's guidance in these directions in your life and in your pregnancy. But go for a walk. Physical activity can help you to release negative emotions and to kind of allow yourself to just breathe for a minute before you just get crazily emotional. And the purpose of this episode is not to say that emotions are bad. Emotions are good. And I actually have come to feel that it's good to feel the emotions. It's good to and healthy to cry. There's a little saying that I like because I tend to naturally be a crier. And then pregnancy makes it worse. And so it's annoying, frustrating, and has been embarrassing in the past, but I've chosen to replace all of those thoughts with this is hard, this is embarrassing, this is frustrating with crying is cleansing. And every now and then in life, you just need to have one of those cleansing cries. And it's good and healthy and it's okay and shouldn't be looked on as embarrassing. And some people are going to feel that, though. They are going to look at it that way. But it's your choice how you look at it. And that's what I want to encourage you, is I want to encourage you not to fear what the other people think. Know for yourself what you need, and what you need in that moment might be that cleansing cry, and it is okay to feel that. I just wanted to give you a few of those tips that have helped me recently in my life and in pregnancy and in feeling emotional, and I will summarize those 4 to 5 things that I had talked about. The first one was to give yourself permission. Actually, that is not the first one. Sorry. Let me back up a little bit. The first one was to keep feeling it to heal it. So feel those emotions as they come. The second tip was give yourself permission to cry. If you say don't for some reason, it makes our brain want it more or want to think about it more. The third was to drink water. Water can help you to get those emotions in check when you need. And fourth was to tell yourself you're just going to schedule that for later. And number 5 was to, if you're able to, excuse me, my voice is getting a little hoarse. But if you're able to, go for a walk or do some type of physical activity. And that can help you through. I know that pregnancy can come with extra emotions, extra negative thoughts, and it can be really hard. And it can feel like sometimes that you are drowning, but I don't want you to drown, which is why I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this podcast, because it is not fun to drown. I've been in places where life feels heavy. If you're feeling that life is pretty heavy and you're really struggling in your pregnancy, I encourage you to check into my morning sickness mini course for mental health. And it is basically just mindset videos. There are 48 of them now, and I am soon going to be adding audios to these videos so that you can listen to them wherever you need to. They're short and simple, but they can help you redirect from negativity into more positivity and to find brightness and joy and hope in pregnancy and be the pregnant mom that you've always dreamed of being and enjoying that a lot more. Pregnancy was definitely a lot harder for me than I thought it was going to be, and I craved for some positivity and some encouragement, especially mentally, because mentally I struggled. And so that's what God put onto my heart to create, and it is the top link in the show notes. Or if you want more information besides what is on my website, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is in the show notes, and also I have a Facebook page called Pregnancy is Hard, soon to be an Instagram as well. So we are getting there, and I'm excited that you are joining me on this journey. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving this podcast a rating and review, because that helps other pregnant mothers who are struggling to be able to find it. And thank you most of all for implementing what you learn into your life for more positivity in your pregnancy and in your motherhood. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.